Add to stage. Yeah, another live today. And yesterday, and oh, damn. Can I say there's a lot of shit going on as far as gun control right now? Oh, kill the volume on that. So, this was today. This was the first lady, and of course, with a bunch of so-called educators, gonna push for more gun control. Oh, fun. Yeah, I'm already taking shit for a headache. I've seen part of this. Haven't really seen all of it yet. It's just something I skimmed earlier. So we'll see. I'm gonna need like a serious mental health break for a couple days after this. I'm trying to make up for not streaming for like a month. Technically, I'm not making you do anything. I'm just putting information out. Take it or leave it. Yeah, I'm not forcing you. I'm forcing myself because I want to know what narratives are coming down the pipe. And just from breezing through this, they're ramping up for some of the safe storage stuff. So, and this is. If somehow Democrats maintain control of everything in 24, this is going to get real rough. So, stop something. I was listening to something else in the background while I was getting ready to do this. But yeah, if somehow Democrats maintain control of the White House and everything in 24, this shit's just going to get even rougher. So I doubt whether this is going to be a share the pain stream, but might as well throw those rules in there already. I am not responsible for desktops, shot computers, thrown phones. Your neighbor's getting pissed because all they can hear is you screaming in the background. It's not my fault. Hopefully, what the hell is my damn signal doing? Hopefully, this will run smooth. For some reason, my damn signal's dropping on and off. We'll see. We'll see whether it stabilizes. We'll see how smooth this runs. Because this is just another one of those things, especially after going back through and listening to all the shit out of freaking South Carolina again today. Oh my God. It never stops, man. It never stops. It just becomes more painful. And that's why I have to share it with you guys, because I can't suffer this shit on my own. All right, let's see where I'm at. Which freaking tab is it? Okay, it's this one. So don't say I didn't warn you. You already know what you're looking at. It's 5 o'clock. It's home. Been drinking coffee all day. It's time to switch to beer. Eat some more Motrin if you have to. Quaaludes maybe. A few Xanax. Smoke a joint. Because we all know what this is going to sound like. We already. Yeah. And it's not just her. There's, from what I flipped through, there's some principals that speak during there. There's an ATF agent that speaks during there. It's all the same. There's no fucking solution.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the White House Town Hall on Firearms Secure Storage. I'm Greg Jackson, the Deputy Director of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And as a survivor of gun violence, I want to thank you for your leadership, your courage, and your commitment to making our community safe.
Talking about the government opening up more
sadly, gun violence has stolen too many futures, broken too many families, and traumatized too many classrooms in America. We live in a time where there are over 4.6 million homes with children and unsecured firearms, where guns from the home make up over 70% of school shootings, over 80%.
Okay, look, I got to stop that right there. I'm going to try to let as much of this play. But when they're talking, going through that, okay, I understand way more innocent children die from household chemicals than innocent children that die from guns. It is a factual, provable statistic. And I don't see this son of a bitch running around talking about lock up your chemicals. When we're talking about kids, I don't care, toddler on up. If we can teach them to not just slam bleach and never mind teenagers with Tide Pods. But if we can teach them not to touch hot stoves, if we can teach them not to run out into the street without looking, all these things, then we can teach kids how to either avoid a firearm or, if they are exposed to one, how to properly handle it when it's age appropriate. You can do that. I've seen it in my own life with my own children. So, yeah.
Of unintentional shootings and over 70% of youth firearm suicides. And that's why,
Sean, you doing okay today, brother? Mr. Sam Anarchy, how you doing, my brother?
Most importantly, we need champions. And so I'm proud to introduce a major champion in the fight.
Sam, the answer to that is usually places like the Gun Violence Archive.
But most of all, our First Lady of the United States,
one of the other
Jill
ones is
Biden.
K-12 school shootings. I think I follow them on X, and they lie about every fucking thing. Warsaw, you want to get in here?
Thank you, Greg.
As a matter of fact, I got an email Dan or got a message.
For the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention. I know that working on this issue is not easy.
Yes, Sean, 100%.
Team's commitment.
They actually count. And I can't remember who hit it.
Everything that you do.
I can't remember whether it was Four Boxes Diner. I can't remember who hit it the other day, and we've all talked about it. But they actually count a gun being found near a school as a school shooting. And when you look it up, you see school shooting, you look it up, and it was a gun found in a car or something like that. Nobody was hurt. The gun wasn't involved with anybody. It wasn't brandished. It wasn't shown. It was just happened to be on school grounds. One kid that was mentioned the other day, he borrowed his parents' car to go to school. Had to get to school, borrowed his parents' car. Somehow it was found out his car got searched. They found a gun in the car. He didn't even know it was there. And it ended up maybe his parents had some legal issues and stuff like that. I think one might have been a felon. I don't care about that at all. Fuck it. If you're safe enough to be on the street, you're safe enough to own a firearm. But anyway, the Gun Violence Archive reported that as a school shooting. And when you looked at it, there's no victim, no shots fired, all the way down. And other ones that are counted as school shootings. Schools tend to be in neighborhoods a lot of times. And some neighborhoods aren't the best neighborhoods. So there might be a shooting in that neighborhood, but it was near a school, so they call that a school shooting. They can't be honest with the numbers. They can't be factual with their arguments. Because if they do, then they fucking lose the argument every time on the facts. That's why all through this, all you're going to hear is emotion. That's all you're going to hear. Just like always. What is... Who picked up this? I can't see it because that stupid heart thing's in the way. Hold on, let me do something. Blah. Coop picked up this patch. Text to you. Okay, now I got you. I hate that freaking little heart thing sits right at the end of the text for the newest text or newest chat coming in. Hold on. Speaking of that, I got to switch from top chat to live chat. I hate it when I forget to damn do that. All right, now we're back in business. All right, let's listen to the true commander in chief right here because we know it ain't Biden.
Ava Olson from Townville.
By the way, just because if it hit my head, I promise you, if you're riding in a car with Biden, the air fresheners smell like small children.
South Carolina is 13. But her friend Jacob will always be 6. Ava will try out different clothing trends and learn how to drive. She'll have crushes and graduate from high school. But Jacob, now forever dressed.
I need to post that on Twitter and just see how much trouble I can get into.
Always be 6. Ava is a survivor. After years of debilitating PTSD, unable to leave her home, for fear of reliving those moments on the playground when she ran for her life, she then returned to school. But the heaviness of that small coffin.
Talking about just the American flag patch, Warsaw?
Will always weigh on her heart.
All my patches fly upside down like
Jacob will always be.
What's up, Matt? What's happening, my brother?
Ethan Song of Guilford, Connecticut will always be 15. Alejandro Guerrero Jr. of Grand Rapids, Michigan will always be 14. I know that we have some of their friends and family with us today. The number of children we've lost to gun violence, to shooting, is unfathomable. But those numbers don't tell the whole story. They don't tell us of the parents who steel themselves as they put their child on the school bus every morning. The students who watch the door instead of the whiteboard. The educators who go over their emergency plans in their heads before the first bell. Like many of all of you, I know that feeling. I teach at a community college not far from here. I was there this morning. And at the start of each semester, I explain to my students what they should do if the worst happens. But we can help prevent that violence. You can help prevent that violence. The parents in your schools trust you. They look to you to steer their children toward the bright futures ahead of them. You can show parents that they can be part of preventing the next shooting, the next suicide, the next accident. A secured gun could have saved Jacob and Alejandro and Ethan. It could mean they would be starting high school or college or their first job. They could have grown up beside their friends like it really should have been. I know we ask a lot of our educators, and I know that these shootings affect you too. So I want to thank you for all that you've already done, for coming here, to be willing to push a little harder, and to do this one more thing. This issue matters to the president. It weighs on his heart every day, and he's not going to stop fighting until we've solved it. How can we accept a world where the leading cause of death for our children is gun violence?
Oh boy, it's a good thing I don't make some of these things drinking games, because we would seriously be in trouble, and we ain't too far into this. Yeah, it's and here's the fucking issue. Here's the funny thing when you really start to get down into the issue. Her policies, leftist policies, and then the policies of the people sitting in that room that are going to clap like seals at all these fucking lies are the same policies that have created this fucking unbelievable, unstable youth that goes out and then shoots schools and whatever. Their policies are what's created this, and now they're telling you another government policy is going to solve it. It's amazing. Oh, dude, I mean, we've looked it up on streams before. Matter of fact, the CDC, it's their versus, it's their versus data, where you can compare different causes of death, and we can do up to 3 causes of death on there. So if I click innocent, like as in the person wasn't toting a gun and being a gangbanger and all this other shit, if I push innocent, the leading cause for death for children, hands down, is still motor vehicle all day long. If you look at accidental with firearms, it's nowhere near fucking household chemicals. Household chemicals kill way more children accidentally than firearms do, and it's not even close. So it's part of what kills me about everybody in this room. Now, of course, more than likely, all of them were handpicked. But if they're supposed to be educators, you would think these people would understand basic research. And when horse shit like that gets thrown at them, and it's been thrown at them for years and years and years now, you think they would be able to do basic research and go, oh, holy shit, wait a second. No, that's a lie, but they don't. Part of what's wrong with our education system is the people sitting in that fucking room that are going to clap like seals to this so-called doctor up there. Didn't you know Joe Biden is a doctor?
Where active shooter drills are part of growing up in America, where our children hear loud noises and duck for cover. Enough is enough. Enough pain, enough death. No more funerals. I don't want to have to put my hand on another cross with an 8-year-old's name. We must change this. We must protect our kids from gun violence. Thank you for all that you do. And now, please help me welcome someone.
Ron Gunn, what's up, brother man?
For our students and our educators every single day.
Yeah, medical malpractice kills.
Secretary Miguel Cardona.
Yay!
Thank you, everybody.
Another
our first lady,
fake ass position.
Thank you to our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. It's hard to think of a greater champion for students, someone who truly cares deeply for their well-being and their safety.
Let me do this.
And I'm grateful to the National Association of Elementary School Principals, the National Association of Secondary School Principals, and the American Federation of School Administrators. Let's give them a round of applause.
Just the people sitting in that room and their general policies.
And all of the school principals here for taking time to join this important conversation. I got to say, principals, that is the best job in education. I'm a little biased. So long as I held the job, it is the best job. And welcome also to our other guests from the education community, parents, teachers, and most importantly, students, please stand up. Current students, please stand up.
Current NPCs, stand up.
Thank you.
Flagorize, what's up, my brother?
We're here today for one simple reason: to protect the lives of children, of young people.
Yeah, Agorizer, you're right. Yeah, this is more like share the cringe.
And we wanted to bring together school principals.
Hold on, we got Nice right. What's up, Night?
And I've brought my wood.
Incredible leaders
in
the community.
Gotta have the wood on.
You're the ones that can really get things done.
There we go.
Anyway, so did you see the title yet?
No, but you know, I can imagine what it's about.
Well, this is the
more gun control.
Yeah, this is the first lady and a room full of educators, sprinkled in with an ATF agent, all pushing for safe storage.
Is she supposed to be relaying Obama's orders to Biden?
I'm pretty sure, man, that Biden's lost somewhere because her hand isn't up his ass and leading him around. So I'm kind of wondering where he's at this point, because he's probably and eating Jello or some shit. I don't know.
No, probably ice cream. You know how he's about ice cream.
Well, yeah, that's true. Chocolate chip and everything.
Yeah, I like mint chocolate chip.
Dude, I can't get on the mint end of that.
That saves lives in the future to prevent violence.
And then there's, moose chocolate.
Reacting to it.
That's good.
The principalship is truly where the rubber meets the road. I was reminded.
Yeah, these are all the people pushing trans ideology on your kids, by the way.
2 hours ago, I was walking through Building 1200
and
at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. And I know.
Oh, see, he's going to bring up that one, the one in Florida.
The building.
Oh yeah, trust me. You're about to get the same arguments we always get from these leftists, which is completely emotional arguments, no factual evidence. They've already lied about guns being illegal.
You want to know something funny?
Huh?
Did you count how many MDA people were at the South Carolina today? There's only 6 of them. They could only muster 6 people to go against, South Carolina constitutional carry. Yeah, I'm like, wow, you only had 6 people? Wow, yeah. Congratulations. That's a Happy Gilmore golfer's clap right there.
That's you
got a participation trophy clap.
It's they compared it to like the Happy Gilmore with all the people around him. He's signing tits and shit like that, and then Shooter McGavin's got like 4 people over there and some ugly ass bitch. That's mom's demand.
Yeah. It's just 6 people. I was disappointed. I guess they knew it's going to pass.
I saw bullet
got a good idea
through walls and through desks. But I also saw Valentine's Day chocolates left unopened. I saw balloons deflated over time. A stark reminder of that terrible day. I heard the stories of the 14 students who were killed that day.
Over
the spaces.
That translator is doing the wrong action. She just needs to clench her hand and just move it up and down.
I heard about the heroism of the teacher.
Dude, I still think the worst job in America right now is the sign language interpreter for Joe Biden. She is not following what he says. She is just going by the teleprompter. She is not.
When he says stuff like this,
all men and women created by go. You know the thing.
The thing.
And I've also got true international depression.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you spell that? And did you see the sign language guy for that one? If they literally are like, I don't know. I don't know.
Scott Beagle and the assistant football coach Aaron Feast and
Joe Biden is the best mumble rapper in America.
Lost their lives trying to save the lives of students. I also spoke to Nancy Lippert, a teacher
probably so, Matt,
who had to witness the murder of her colleagues and students. I'm amazed by the courage of those family members who suffer visiting that site, but they did it that day because they.
How about those suffering listening to you?
What's up, brother?
Get yourself off on gun control.
And as I walked, I was reminded of serving as a principal myself in Connecticut when Principal Dawn Hawks.
I am suffering so much right now
at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Dude, that's the only reason anybody shows up in my streams. They're all about the sound of gunshots,
without a second thought. I was reminded of attending the wake for 4 9-year-olds and a murdered teacher in Uvalde.
I might have to mute this and just kind of.
The teacher's husband was being buried also because he died of a heart attack just days after his wife was murdered.
Go bump fire something outside.
And I was reminded of visiting Perry Island.
Hell, don't mute it. Bump fire. Let us hear
it. Meeting the amazing students, the teachers, and the staff that make up that wonderful community.
Students with 2 O's instead of a U.
Of learning of the January 4th.
It's students. Did you know that?
I know. That's why I said students.
Principal Dan Marburger.
Clint
A
Eastwood,
hero in every
what's up,
sense of the
brother?
word who loved his students.
I had a T-shirt when I was in college that says "I is a college student" with 2 O's instead of a
In
U.
memory of Dan and
Hey,
for all those who lost
had
their
a
lives.
good
and for
GPS
those
too,
whose
didn't you?
lives were changed forever. I'd like to ask you
I
to
knew
join
GPS.
me
Yes.
in a moment of silence to honor them.
So
It's all about pushing the narrative. The moment of silence.
Thank you.
How about
As we
just not
recognize them today, let's also be clear. We don't honor their memory with complacency. We don't honor their memory with thoughts and prayers.
Allow teachers.
We don't honor their memory by praising their heroism, only to turn around and fight to protect assault weapons over the lives of children.
oh, go fuck
We don't
yourself.
honor their memory by
Here we
putting all
go.
the burden on principals to secure their schools and educators to be frontline defenders, despite the fact that no school lock is a match.
You
for
see,
an
this is why I
AR-15.
don't watch PBS anymore. They're
Not
a
when
mouthpiece for the left.
gun violence is the
Oh yeah, dude, they've been a mouthpiece for the left since their fucking inception.
You know, and I used to like Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers. I'm telling you, man.
Hey, go back and watch some of those shows you used to watch, and then go back and go look at what those shows are like now.
Well, Mr. Rogers is dead, so they don't have a show like that now. So.
Well, no, Mr. Rogers would actually. What was that one song? A boy is a boy, and a girl is a girl, and a girl will never be a boy, and a boy will never be.
Yeah,
a
he
girl.
would have gotten canceled.
They would crucify Mr. Rogers right now.
the leading cause of death for our nation's children.
There you go with
Let me
another
say that
lie,
again.
dickhead.
Gun violence is the leading cause of death for our nation's children. Not when we have a student mental health crisis in this country where 1 in 3 high school girls has seriously considered suicide in the last 3 years.
Dude, y'all's education system is the issue that causes the mental health with these fucking kids. Y'all, your dumb ass sitting up there.
Where every year 3,100 young people die by firearm suicide.
No, they don't.
That can only get worse with the threats of trauma.
You're inflating those numbers.
You think?
This is going to
more people die via car
action on every
accidents than
front,
any
and it
in this
bears
country.
repeating.
Do we
We're
ban
here to
cars?
protect the lives
No.
of children.
Well,
we need all hands on deck.
Again, these are people that, it's all about the guns, but more innocent kids die in car accidents every year than with firearms. But they still don't think a fucking split second about putting a 16-year-old in a car doing 70 miles an hour just feet from another car. Oh, we can teach them how to drive. We can teach them how to be around firearms, you fucking numbnuts.
Here's a statistic for you you never knew, okay? More people die a year via vending machine falling on them than shark attacks.
Yeah, I've actually heard that before.
It's true.
But much like these assholes, that's funny, because much like these assholes trying to drive up this narrative about gun violence and shit, you remember when Jaws came out? They were people just trying to murk sharks because they were so dangerous.
Well, what I was getting and alluding to is I really wish that statistic would fall on top of him.
Yeah. We need a Wile E. Coyote moment with that one.
Yeah.
Just fucking, yeah.
Yep.
We need the house to go and fall on Nancy Pelosi. I'm pretty sure that's probably
vending machine.
No, Nancy Pelosi's a witch, man. It's got to be a house. It's got to be poetic.
They said the same thing about Ginsburg and
get the same results.
And what's her name? Feinstein. And they both killed.
We're
instead.
talking about today. What we're talking about is safe
bucket of
firearm
water.
storage. That's one strategy and a whole suite of strategies that we must pursue. Real gun control, banning assault weapons,
100%.
investing in mental health and smart prevention
HPS,
methods.
what's up, my brother? Yeah,
Safe
we do need to ban
firearm
numbnuts.
Is one of the biggest areas where our community of school principals can help save lives right away.
Mm-hmm.
We know that between 70 to 90%
and
guns
cows
used
kill more
in
people
youth
than sharks.
suicides, unintentional shootings among children, and school shootings perpetrated by shooters under the age of 18 are acquired from the home or the homes of relatives or friends.
Yes, and
That's a
if you
staggering
want to
number,
stop
90%.
that, you
And if
educate
just
children.
half of those households with children
Listen to
that
this.
contain at least one unlocked gun switched to locking all of their guns, 1/3 of youth gun suicides and unintentional deaths could be prevented.
No. First of all, it won't prevent the suicides. The kid's going to choose another way. It might just be jumping in front of a train, jumping off a building, jumping off a fucking, jumping out in front of, traffic, something like that. It's already proven. Japan is the fucking proof of the whole deal. If people want to commit suicide, they are going to commit suicide. Period.
It also Japan has also proves the point. If the Yakuza or any other criminal want to get a gun, they'll get one no matter what.
Yes. Or they will build one and go assassinate the prime minister.
Yes, they'll build one. And that's hilarious. Somebody built a shotgun, was able to get ammo, and assassinated prime minister.
They didn't get ammo. I think they made their own gunpowder. And their source of ignition on that, Brandon Herrera tested one. There was another dude who actually made pretty much the dead spot on recreation of it. It was basically 2 pipes with end caps packed with homemade gunpowder, packed with some sort of debris. I don't know what he used for the actual shot itself. Electronic ignition. Pow. You just look. We can't keep guns out of fucking prisons. How do you think we would keep guns out of the United States if you banned every single fucking one of them? You wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
All you would do is you would make it to where the criminal that's got the biggest club is going to be the ruler, and then someone besides him would, build their gun, slam fire shotgun, something like that, and then he would be rolling over everything else. Violence is violence, you dumb motherfuckers. If you don't solve the mental issues that cause the violence, you will never stop the fucking violence. Period. And if one of these school shooters couldn't get his hands on a gun, he's going to do something else to go kill these kids. He's going to make a bomb and walk in with a bomb and detonate it. He'll just run them over at a fucking crosswalk. It just, their focus on just the gun is the most idiotic shit. But hey, these are educators. But hey, you should have fucking books about children blowing each other in an elementary school library, and that's completely okay with these motherfuckers.
As long as they use the right bathroom.
Estimated 251 young lives in a single year.
They don't even. Fuck, man. Now, bathrooms now should just have question
marks. Every school is different. What works
is
to engage people and families on
like one of the little arrows that you
flick
flick and it just lands on something.
I was really clear with my team.
Tortown, what's up, brother?
And we will not come to school principal with a one-size-fits-all.
Where's Man Against the Masses? I need him to make that meme.
Look, I was a school principal.
He's not a great at memes. I know how people think he is, but he's not, because he would never make the DLD after megabytes for me.
All in spite of all the mouths you have.
Every man has his limit.
And it was right there staring down his face on your chat too.
And a lot of blame when things don't go well.
What can I say? Every man has his limits.
But I also know this.
Even the outlaw Josie Wales had an off day.
Unique ability to communicate with your school community, especially parents, in a way that's effective.
I don't have to mute for a minute.
You know what works. Principals, you are the trusted leader in your community, and you are the messenger. And you have the leverage, not only to reach parents, but to go to community leaders like the mayor or the police chief and really make a case for what will make your school safer. A bit later, we'll be hearing from the experts who will give you a sense of the resources and strategies that may help you do this in your school and in your community. Look, I know there are so many demands on you as school principals. The First Lady said it, the pressures that you have on you. But the fact is, every day, school principals across the country are thinking about their emergency plans and are thinking about the safety, thinking about how to make their buildings safer. If together, collectively, if we're not prioritizing saving the lives of children in our schools and creating a stronger sense of safety for them, we can't expect them to be able to move the needle on reading or math or all the other things that are so crucial to their education. And as much as I'm speaking to you today as the Secretary of Education and a fellow school principal, I'm also speaking to you as a father of a high schooler and a student in college. I'm speaking to you as a husband whose wife walks into a school every single day. I want the same for my own family that I want for every family in this country, to know that our loved ones are safe. This is about protecting lives. It's about preventing the unthinkable. There's nothing more important. So let's get to work together. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who knows these issues in and out, a leader who has been fighting passionately to tackle gun violence and now serves as the director of the White House Office on Gun Violence Prevention. Let's welcome Steph Feldman. Steph?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Secretary Cardona, for dedicating your leadership and voice as both a former principal and, of course, as the current U.S. Secretary of Education, and lending your voice to our shared mission of reducing gun violence and saving lives. President Biden and Vice President Harris have made historic progress to reduce gun violence. President Biden signed into law the most significant gun safety legislation in nearly 30 years, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. And the Biden-Harris administration, with the help of Secretary Cardona and so many others, have taken more executive action than any other presidential administration to reduce gun violence, period, in history. We are keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous individuals, cracking down on the trafficking of firearms across state lines, investing in gun crime prevention intervention, and so much more. But still, as the First Lady said, President Biden...
Okay, Night Strike. You want to take a crack at any of that BS?
No. I'd like to ignore it altogether. You know what? In one ear, out the other. That's how I feel, man.
It's Joe. It's fucking. Wife called. I'm talking to her, and I'm still listening to this, and it just fucking. It's amazing, and her talking about fucking firearms trafficking and all this other horse shit. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Just fucking.
Remember to mention my wood.
I'm sure by the time she gets home, I'll probably have to put some of my wood in her hand, take her mind off yours. So fuck you.
Still finds himself in rooms with families who have lost loved ones to gun violence. He has spent countless hours.
Nation, what's up, my brother?
Guys, it's just a running joke we have.
It is,
fun.
yeah, it's a definite running joke.
It was great. It was perfectly timed.
Oh, that joke will probably never get old.
President Biden is going to continue to call on Congress to take action to reduce gun violence.
To AR Nation, yeah,
by
you're
banning
right.
assault weapons that are so frequently used in school shootings.
No,
weapons of war that leave law enforcement outgunned. In the meantime, though, he's going to keep doing everything he can within his existing authority.
And
that's why.
And remember, they're talking about ARs and school shootings. The school shootings that you hear about that ARs are used, that's not happening every day. That's not happening every week. Doesn't even really happen every year. When they're talking about school shootings, they actually add in events where a gun was found in a car, no one was shot. The gun wasn't brandished. They found the gun for some other damn reason. But since it was a school in a school zone or a gun in a school zone, they call that a school shooting. Someone gets pulled over driving through a school zone, and guess there are a lot of cars that drive through school zones. Kids, they get pulled over. There's a gun there. They count that as a school shooting. They do anything that has anything to do with something that's shaped like a gun as a school shooting. I'm pretty sure that kid who chewed his fucking chicken finger into a damn gun shape and ended up getting expelled over that, they counted that as a school shooting. It's mind-numbing that they got to try to pump these numbers up. But again, they can't win this on honest, factual arguments and data. They can't, because it's not with them. It's like the Gun Violence Archive talking about all these mass shootings every day. No, you guys are playing so many games with them numbers, man. You're kind of like the house in Vegas, only the only people that win are the gun control groups that make millions. And again, this is a room full of educators who will not educate themselves on the data. It's a room full of educators that would push trans ideology on your kids. Never mind the fact that any psychologist who was honest says that is some of the most destructive shit you could ever do to a person. You wonder why our kids are so mentally unhealthy? It's the motherfuckers sitting in this room. Plain and simple.
Not me.
I said in the room, not, on the video, not in the chat.
All right.
Room.
All right.
Don't get your thong all in a wad. It'll cut off the fucking circulation to your nutsack. And you wonder why you got blue balls.
Just last fall, President Biden established the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention and asked Vice President Harris to oversee this work.
Out there.
Today, our office is proud to partner with the Department of Education and Department of Justice on new steps to promote safe storage of firearms, one critical tool in the toolkit of reducing gun violence and saving lives.
Dude, if your comment got removed,
so as the First Lady and Secretary Cardona expressed so effectively,
that could be YouTube playing
you as
games.
principals
I don't
here in person
censor the
and
chat.
online, you are trusted voices in your communities. And I hear from you that you want to do everything you can to keep your students and educators safe.
Oh, Sam, you've never
That's why
heard
many
about that?
principals across the
Hold
country
on,
have
we
already
gotta help
led the
brother
way
Sam
by
out.
sending letters to families. about safe
What did
storage.
Sam do?
Because this has not happened just once. This has happened a few times. There was one, and I believe it was one of them. Hold on, one of them chewed like a waffle or something into a gun shape and was playing with it. Pow, pow, pow. These kids are early.
No,
early
it was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Was that it? Okay. So yeah, he got expelled for a gun. I shit you not. Maybe that was the other one. The other one took his chicken finger off his plate and was playing like cowboy Indian stuff with it. He got expelled. There was two kids were playing around. They were near the bus stop, I think before school, just goofing off with their little like airsoft guns, shooting these little zombie targets. Guess what? They get reported, they get expelled. I'm pretty sure that probably got reported as a school shooting too.
Is it a school shooting if no one dies?
It is if you're the Gun Violence Archive or the.
And if no one dies and no one gets injured, is it a school shooting? No, I mean realistically, is it a school shooting?
Realistically, no, not to anybody with any sense. Not to anybody who is half-assed intellectually honest. Let's say
you just hit the nail on the head.
Oh yeah, that's
honest. We all know that everybody in that room, including the politicians, are by trade dishonest.
Yes. Here's
the thing. If a gun isn't fired, no one gets shot, no one gets injured, and no one dies. Is it a school shooting?
Let's look at something.
That's the point.
I'm going to let this play again in a second, but let me type something in so I can kind of keep halfway up. So I'm going to play around. I'm going to let this play, but I'm going to play around in the background looking at something real quick because we're going to play with some numbers.
Firearms.
But actually, be honest about it.
You have a lot on your plates, and you should not have to be experts on safe storage of firearms. So we're here to help. President Biden and Vice President Harris are here to help. Today, the United States Department of Education issued a new template that principals and school leaders can use to engage with parents and families about the importance of safe firearm storage and encourage more people to take preventive action by safely storing firearms. On top of that, the U.S. Department of Justice also released today a guide on safe storage of firearms, and they're providing more subject matter expertise on different types of storage devices and best practices for safely storing firearms. This is, in fact, the most comprehensive guide on safe storage ever released by the federal government. So I'm urging all principals to consider how you can use these new tools to effectively reach families in your community. It is a simple step that can save lives. And now it is my great privilege to turn the microphone over to Principal Michelle Kefford.
I haven't been on Gun Violence Archive in a while, so it's going to take me a second to figure out the damn search.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is truly an honor to be here with you today. I would like to thank the White House staff, as well as the Department of Education, for this invitation to speak to you today about the collective need to do more to protect our K-12 schools, reduce and prevent gun violence, and to aid in the recovery for those who have unfortunately already suffered tragic shootings. I'd like to take an opportunity to sincerely thank Secretary Cardona and your staff for visiting my campus just this week to witness firsthand the atrocities that happen as a result of gun violence on a school campus. So thank you. My name is Michelle Kefford. I'm the proud principal of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Stoneman Douglas is a very special place for me, not only because I have the privilege of leading the school, but because I started my career there almost 25 years ago as a teacher of biology, where I served students for 6 years. Both of my children are Stoneman Douglas Eagles. My oldest graduated in 2022, and my youngest is with me as a sophomore. A year after the horrific mass shooting that occurred on our campus in 2018, I was asked to come back home to Stoneman Douglas to lead the school in its continuous recovery efforts that are still very real and very active today. I think it's important for you to know that in addition to being Stoneman Douglas's principal, I am also a resident of the city of Parkland.
Okay, let me.
I experienced the horrific shooting as a community member alongside my neighbors and my fellow Parklanders. But I also experienced
I gotta pause that. We gotta share another tab real quick.
As a parent.
So, Gun Violence Archive. Now, I haven't got a chance to look all the way through this data, but I do want you to see some things real quick. If this is school shootings, so if you go to here, this is about shootings, and you go to school shootings. This pretty much tells you what I was talking about earlier. Look at victims killed, 0. Injured victims, 0. Suspects killed, 0. Suspect injured, 0. Arrested suspects, 1. There's a whole lot of zeros, 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 zeros. 1 victim killed, but there's no suspect killed, or that's probably someone shooting themselves at a school. Okay. Zeros, zeros, zeros. How is this a school shooting? There were 0 victims killed, 0 victims injured, 0 suspects killed, 0 suspects injured, 0 suspects arrested. Let's look at that. Cop sees firearm at Northwood High. So again, firearm brought to Northwood, 14-year-old student seized after reports were made. Student had brought a weapon to school, shown it to another student. and made threats of conducting school shooting. More than likely horseshit, but that is counted as a school shooting by these people. 0001. How far do we have to go back?
I don't know.
Zeros, zeros, one. One. This one was victim killed one, but there's no suspects or anything else. So let's view this incident real fast. Let's see. Location. Greater Dayton wreck. Participants. Victim. 20. Gender male. Status killed. Incident characteristics. A shot. Dead. And the way they classify that, even though this kid was 18, it was an elementary, secondary school. They call it a school incident. Notes, parking lot near elementary school, part of the high school. A parking lot near elementary school, part of a high school. One gun involved, type unknown. These are all your school shootings, guys. When these assholes talk about school shootings, and all these school shootings that happen, this is what they're talking about. Which one? This is Alabama, so Patriot Way. This is Tuscaloosa. This is not too far from me. Let's look at this one. Probably a gangbanger caught with a gun. High school participants, one student, aged 12 to 17, status unknown. School incident, gun at a school, no death or injury. Elementary school, secondary school. Possession of a gun by a felon or prohibited person. Gun found in backpack. Yeah. When we talk about the fact these people are lying straight to your motherfucking face, the Gun Violence Archive, if you look at their data, they show you they're lying to your fucking face. It is their data that they are standing on, that all these educators are up here talking about all these school shootings. And one of them mentions either before, I can't remember when I flipped through it, talk about there are school shootings you just never hear of. It's because they weren't school shootings. Well, man, we live in a country of straight out NPC, non-playable characters that get their little fucking updates from bitches like this, and they just puke this shit out in your lap the whole time.
As a mother who received a panic text from her then 8th grade son, there's a code red at school, Mom, and it's not a drill.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of faith
Saint
or
was
Sean
just steps
that
away from where 17
SCOTUS
were
is going to save us on
murdered
anything.
and 17 others injured. He was locked in a portable classroom with students from Stoneman Douglas that his teacher had pulled into safety. Students who witnessed firsthand the horrors of the shooter. Nothing is more terrifying to a parent than their child being in a situation that is life or death. Although it's been almost 6 years since the most horrific day in our school's history, the impacts of this tragedy are still very real today. It affects our whole school community very profoundly, and our recovery efforts are still actively underway.
Yeah, it's possible.
In addition to serving as a principal, I am also a former National Association of Secondary School Principals, NASSP, State Principal of the Year, as well as a former NASSP National Principal of the Year finalist. I am also a member of the NASSP Principal Recovery Network, a club no one wants to be a part of. The Principal Recovery Network, or PRN, as we refer to ourselves, is made up of 21 current as well as former school principals who, like me, suffered a shooting on their school campus or assumed leadership after a shooting to lead the long and arduous road to recovery. The group was founded by NASSP with the help of Frank DeAngelis, the former principal of Columbine High School. He had been doing this work alone since 1999 and brought us together to do the work collectively. The PRN includes principals of Sandy Hook, Chardon, Aztec, but also includes principals of schools where the tragedy didn't grab nonstop national media attention. Forest, West Liberty, Salem, Harrisburg. These are just some of our PRN member schools that may not ring in your mind as acutely as Stoneman Douglas or Sandy Hook. because the coverage of the shooting was not national and nonstop, but they represent the hundreds of school shootings and the tens of thousands of community members who have been impacted and affected over the past few decades. Each of these tragedies leaves an immense amount of trauma and a scar that never fully heals on the entire school community and neighboring cities. Several PRN members were themselves shot in their tragedies. Still, despite the trauma, this heroic group of leaders reaches out to every single school that suffers a school shooting and offers advice, guidance, and support to the principal and the district on best practices for recovery. We work closely with the Department of Education to coordinate outreach efforts, as well as with the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity, Infrastructure, and Safety Agency to advise on their excellent suite of school safety products and resources. We have produced the PRN Guide to Recovery that we released last August at an event at the Columbine Memorial in Colorado. The guide is a collection of our lived experiences, our strategies and interventions that help to serve as counsel for school leaders who face the unimaginable. The guide can be found, it's free to download, nassp.org/PRN. I encourage every school leader to please access a copy. There is no course in our principal certification programs that instructs us on how to navigate the aftermath of a mass shooting.
Tell no facts.
So we were forced to create our own resources. Sadly, the
Get monetized.
to care for and support fellow educators
Yeah, no,
and precious students
they'll tell you no
has
right off the
become
bat.
devastatingly frequent in recent years. In 2023, there were at least
I mean, I'm
346
monetized, but I
incidents of
demonetized
gunfire
all my
on
shit
school grounds
because
in this country.
it always goes
That's according
south.
to the K-12 school shooting database.
Oh, no doubt.
That
I
is the
can't.
most
I can't
ever
stay
reported.
monetized.
249 students and educators were
content I
either
do?
killed or wounded in these tragedies.
Content I do, man.
Although we often only hear about the most horrific incidents, we are averaging with those numbers a school shooting almost every day. Almost every day.
Oh, look. Let's go back to the data. We're averaging a school shooting almost every day. Here are your school shootings. And they've got them cataloged by date. That's page 2. There wasn't shit on page 1. Hold on. Let me back that up because there was actually victims killed, victims injured. Hold on. Suspect was killed. Perry Middle and High School. Let's look at that one real fast, just for shits and giggles, because it's really the first one that would even probably classify as a school shooting. Guarantee it's probably gang related and not in school, not during school hours. Victim, age 11, age 15. Those were the 2 killed. Victim, those are injured. Suspect, relationship, mass shooting. Perp knows victims, you think. Name Dylan Butler. Incident, wounded, injured. Suicide, murder, suicide. Shooter had a shotgun and a pistol. 1 to 5 p.m. Killed 4 students. School's principal, 2 other staff members were injured. 2 guns involved. I have to look up the story, but I'll guarantee you it's damn gang related. But that's 1 out of fucking 40 something shootings they're talking about already. And then the ones below that are all and victims killed 0, victims injured 0, suspects killed 0, suspects injured 0, suspects arrested 0. Next page, zeros, 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 1 zeros. That's a 1-to-1, so that's more than likely a suicide. Suspects arrested 2, but Again, victims killed 0, victims injured 0, suspects killed 0, suspect injured 0. Page 4, just for shits and giggles. 0s, 0s, 0s. That's a 1 and 1, so that's had to be 1 victim killed, 1 suspect arrested. That was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'll guarantee it's probably another gang thing. Teen detained after fatal shooting. Teenager accidentally shot and killed another teen, so probably still gang related, but it was an accidental shooting. Let's see what happened. Giving an update Saturday. So this happened Friday night, and it was accidental. So it was more than likely in a school zone, had jack shit to do with a gun being toted around school. So it just, again, they can't be factually honest. They can't.
Nope.
And with so many shootings, there is simply not enough state or federal prevention and recovery funding and resources to go around for all of these shattered
Air Force retired. What's up, brother?
If
I don't
safety
think
in
I've seen
school
you.
is not prioritized, how will educators remain in this profession, especially as we face a growing nationwide educator shortage? How will students focus
Gee, I
on
wonder why
meaningful
there's a
and impactful
shortage.
learning?
Yeah, I wonder.
As a member
Could
of
it
the
be
NASSP,
all the gang violence in
we come
schools?
together out of
Not
necessity
disciplining kids.
and a shared life mission and a commitment to make a difference. We implore
Here-
you all
here's
to help us
leftists
work
that
together as a country
handle
to enact
actually having a
solutions.
job.
We have to do more as school
Somewhat,
principals
yes.
now than ever to keep our buildings safe and to help our parents keep their children safe. There's more our elected leaders can do to give schools the needed critical preventative resources and to enact policies necessary to protect students and our staff. The time to act is now, and to spread the word about what's already working and how we can implement
Bitch, how we
more
doing
in
shit
schools
that's working?
across the country so that we ensure we are supporting as many communities and as many schools as possible. Thank you.
What would actually help save kids, coming from someone who is a teacher? This thing that I carry every day and every other part of my life, allow me the tools to defend my kids. And I work with younger kids and older adults. Allow me the tools that if something ever happened, and it's not like it just fucking kills me. They act like, oh, it's going to be Rambo. No, I just have to pull my people back to an area I can control. And then if there's a threat to them coming, I fucking shoot it in the face. I don't have to play Rambo. I'm worried about control of an area. That's the only thing I'm worried about. He might have an AR. So what? That 9mm still going to knock his fucking dome off.
Or better yet, it could be a 5.7.
I don't know. I haven't gotten into 5.7 yet. Now, if that motherfucker fucked up and let me get to my truck a lot of times, I'd have a woo-hoo something for that ass.
It's a little expensive, but I'm thinking of carrying my my rock, even though it's a full size pistol. The point is that that 5.7 round that's a snappy round.
It's juicy. I'll tell you that it's juicy, but you catch some of the shit I'm slinging out of this 9.
I mean,
it's not going to be fun. And see, the problem is
23 rounds out of a 5.7. I'm just telling you, man.
Most of the time, all you have to do is put a little pressure on these wannabe fucking murderers, and they will kill themselves, and then you ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah, it's true.
They are looking for fucking unarmed victims. And again, they're doing that because these educators have so fucked them up and pushed this idea that you're a snowflake and no one understands you. No one's ever been there before.
Well, that's the problem with Democrats. There's no accountability. They don't want to hold anyone, including themselves, accountable because then they have to say something. They have to do something to fix it. And that's the problem. They don't hold anyone accountable because they don't hold anyone accountable. They fail others.
See, and if these bastards were really
and they think it's okay to continue failing others.
Yeah, if they were really about safety, you could get me and 3 or 4 other guys that used to do construction, guys that are still doing construction. I could design a school with a controlled entry and exit that would be easy to get kids into, easy to get kids out of. But when kids were in school, there wouldn't be nobody getting in that fucking building that was not allowed to be in that building. And then if by some means, some jackass got in that building somehow and wanted to do damage to those kids, we could shut that shit down within seconds. Uvalde and the other school shootings have proved that the cops are absolutely fucking worthless when it comes to protecting kids. Period.
Yeah, they don't want to protect kids. Hell, they'll show up if there's a shooting, but will they go in and try and protect anybody in that building? Fuck no.
Well, yeah, you look at then that report on Uvalde, and I was going to do a show on that, but it's so fucking maddening. I haven't been able to bring myself to it or to do it yet. But yeah, we'll show up, and then the chief goes, "Oh, it's a barricaded suspect." He's a shooter in a room with a bunch of young children. And I think there was an exterior window they could have shot the motherfucker through.
Exactly. But that's okay. You know what?
This doesn't take fucking George Patton. It takes a little bit of common sense.
I've got a 308 now.
Well, that just sunk my boat, though. The minute I actually said something that would be common sense, I sank my own battleship. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, Patton. I don't know. We need to think about somebody with a bit more tact. Eisenhower.
Yeah, but you know what? When Eisenhower
Patton was more gung ho. Eisenhower was let's think about this and come up with a plan.
Well, that's the issue. When something like that happens, I want the gung ho dude. I want him in there. And I'll be goddamn.
But with MacArthur, I like MacArthur's response. If it doesn't look right, just nuke it.
That is a distinct possibility. Maybe
that also got him removed from being chief of staff. But
maybe that's where Tyrus Rex, part of his character, came from in the book Galaxy's Edge.
Possibly.
Just fucking nuke it. Get it over with.
That was what he said about the Chinese border to North Korea, and in retrospect, he was right. But they removed him anyway because he's a bad thing.
Well, look at what they've done to the upper echelon of our military these days. They're all political officers. And the ones that are fighters that are believe in getting in there and kicking ass, they're getting rid of them.
At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome back champion for this work, Secretary Cardona, to the podium.
Oh, good.
Force through your eye sockets. Here you go.
How much longer?
Later. Not too much longer. But
Thank
pain
you. I'm
makes
going
it seem
to invite a colleague who's going to be making some remarks.
I'm about ready to
ATF.
torch
I'll
my
let him
PC.
introduce himself.
I am not responsible for
Steph,
damaged computers.
We're going to be doing the
thrown phones.
questions from the audience now, so I'm going to make my way over here.
Or shot monitors.
And, why don't you introduce yourself?
No shot monitors.
First,
I am not responsible.
Jeff, and then we'll get to
I said it at the start of the stream. Full share the pain rules are in effect for this. Keep the gun at least where you have to reach for it a little bit.
Good afternoon, everyone. And
Gotta
thank
at
you for
least
allowing me to
turn
be
your
here for
torso
this
a little
very
bit.
important meeting.
Don't make me
My name
use
is
the
Jeffrey
357
Matthews.
SIG.
I'm currently
That
the
ammo's
Deputy
expensive.
Director with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives for the Department
It
of
is
Justice.
better than 10 millimeter.
Oh yeah, here's the ATF agent.
Perfect. Thank
This is a good one. I watched part of this when I was skimming through it. And we all know the ATF. They are so good with guns.
So again, I'm Jeffrey Matthews.
When they're shipping them to Mexico.
Deputy Assistant Director. with
No, when they're
ATF,
selling them to Mexico.
And I'm very excited and honored to be
Yeah.
here
Or
and
shooting
assist in the
dogs.
discussion regarding safe storage.
They're only good at
responsible
shooting
gun ownership.
dogs. That's the
The
only
mission
thing.
of
they
ATF is to protect our communities from violent criminals, the illegal
Lies.
use and trafficking of firearms, the illegal
Lies.
use and storage of explosives, as well as acts of arson.
do.
and
More
violence.
lies.
And
I've
we
been a
burn
special agent
down
with ATF
compounds with
for
children
over
in it.
23
and
years.
We shoot
Prior to my
innocent women
time
and
with
children.
ATF, I was a Border Patrol agent for several years
We,
in the United
put
States Marine.
People who are no
I
threat to
have
society
handled
in jail for having
and possessed
wallet-sized
firearms
little
daily
pieces of
for
metal.
close to 30 years professionally. But that doesn't take away my responsibility to handle firearms safely as well every day. And the importance really is driven home about this meeting to me, because not only
Law enforcement
am I a
is
law enforcement
responsible
officer,
for
but I'm
more
also a
negligent
husband to a wife
discharges.
who works in the school system, or public school system in the county in which we live. She works at the front desk, and she grants access to visitors all day to that school. And when I told her about this opportunity to come here today,
Yeah, Ron,
one of
I've
the
been
things we
there. I
talked
was
about,
there
she
earlier
said
today.
every time she lets someone in, that thought crosses her mind. Further, I have 2 children, and one is in high school, one is now in college.
Yep.
And I can tell you
No
that
shit, Sam.
the safe, responsible gun ownership and safe storage, it's not just the person that owns the gun, but it's really is a responsibility of the entire family. And I don't know that there's been an evening, or if there has been, I can count on the one.
Let me pause this, and I'm gonna make a very brief statement real fast. I'm all for safe gun storage. I am not for the government mandating you to do so.
No.
Kind of like with training. I'm all for training. The 2 professional classes that I've been to were awesome. I recommend War Poet Society with Sam and Paul all day long. Those guys are freaking amazing trainers. But I don't think it ought to be mandated by the government, because all the government's going to do is they're going to make it cost so much, or make the fucking qualifications so hard, nobody can do it. And some of the safe storage laws that these dumbasses are talking about, excuse me, if I had this frame, which isn't even put together, I dare you to make that fire a bullet with no barrel or anything else in it. But if I had that frame sitting out right there, that is a firearm. And if something happened, I had to get EMS to my house. There was an accident. Wife stroked out on me or something like that. God forbid, when the kids get hurt. And they come in my home and they see an unsecured firearm. I think the last one was $500 per unsecured firearm, and they took the firearm. And if anybody was injured with it, like they tripped over it or something, well, you got charged and went to jail. Or if your neighbor called and said, hey, he's not carrying his firearms right, without a warrant, the police would come to your home and come look in your home to see if you had an unsecured firearm, and then it was the same deal. Fuck these people. You want to know what keeps kids from getting harmed with firearms? Education. Teaching them proper firearms handling, proper firearms safety. That is what will keep kids from being out on the damn porch like that one video I showed with the damn 3-year-old swinging the damn gun around.
I got one. When law enforcement is called to deal with a problem, they actually go inside the building and deal with the problem.
Yeah, that's.
Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
Yes, and if it's the ATF, sorry, Sparky. Little Wolf. Although I did that one show one time, and it was supposed to be comical, but last I heard it was, maybe true.
Not Spot.
The ATF was actually going to start trying to hire people who had something against cats, therefore they could have more diversity in their ranks.
No, you cannot. You cannot shoot Mittens.
Yeah, old Mittens, boy, he catching one this time.
Oh,
that cat
Mittens.
missed at me. Yep, that's what I heard.
For
No.
the past 25 years that I've come home, and my wife hasn't said, have you secured your gun yet? Have you locked it up?
It's probably because you're a moron. She doesn't like you.
And I thank her for that. It's not offensive to me. I think the responsibility, choosing to own a firearm.
I need to
you're
find
taking
that
on an
fucking
immense
clip that I
responsibility.
did that time. I need to do
Safeguard it
more
properly.
shit like that.
Safe storage of
Well, I
firearms.
tend to stay in
serves
too
to
bad of a
increase public
mood.
safety. It helps protect our children.
Although my
Supervised
sense of humor
access to
gets
firearms
really
and
dangerous
lessens the
when I'm
chance
in a
of
bad
firearm
mood.
used in a crime. So thank you very much, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you.
Reynolds.
Everyone knows someone that works in school.
Shit. Hold on.
People sometimes say, well, schools have so much responsibility and principals have so much responsibility. I'm joined here by Deputy Secretary Cindy Martin, who is a superintendent, school principal. We talk about this. This is a different time. And
no, it's not a different time.
We all have to
people have
step up.
just
I'm
so
reminded
fucked kids up.
Max and Fred, parents of students who were murdered at Parkland. We all have to step up. We all have to do more. And principals, you know, I mentioned your trusted
I did
messengers,
this
but
video so long ago.
oftentimes the principals are the leaders in their communities. That we're not saying you have to do the work, but you're the leaders. You're going to bring people together, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that here. In this portion, we want to take questions from the audience, and I have folks' names that I'm going to call out, and I'm going to ask them to please
It never stops.
and
You
ask the
showed
question
up.
to the member of the panel here.
You showed up.
That will answer. Okay. So the first question is from George Roberts. Where are you, George? Hi, George. How you doing? Good, good. George is part of the principal recovery. He's a member of the principal recovery group, the unfortunate group that has to come together to think about these things. Thank you for that resource, that amazing resource that's available online to principals across the country. Thank you for the work you do on that and for your service as a school principal. You're a former principal at Perry Hall High School in Baltimore, Maryland. Is that right?
That's correct. Baltimore County, Maryland.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
What is your question?
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, panelists, for being here. So, as the former principal of Perry,
Baltimore County, Maryland, where I can go right now and I can search for videos of students assaulting teachers. And I guarantee you, I can still find videos that are up to date where you have a student who is so poorly socialized and has such horrible fucking people skills that when the teacher tries to make him actually behave or just confronts him about his behavior, he beats the shit out of him. One of the last ones I watched, this kid was like 14. If that kid wasn't 280 pounds, I'll kiss my own ass. I will bend around that far and just absolutely beat the brake shoes off of a teacher. This is one of the guys running that system.
Perry High School, my school suffered the tragedy, the ultimate tragedy, a school shooting on the very first day of school. So it was August of 2012 when a sophomore student came into our cafeteria and opened fire with 500 students in the cafeteria. So as we can imagine, the devastation was deep, it was wide, and 12 years later, it still continues. We never look at the first day of school the same way. So my question really is around what can the federal government continue to do? What does it do and what can it continue to do in the short, mid, and really in our case, the long term when it comes to fiscal solutions in the immediate, but also the mental health, the social emotional support that communities like mine and really all of the school communities that suffer these shootings can benefit from the federal government?
Thanks for that question.
Absolutely.
I said earlier, Cindy and I both come into this role as a not only parents, but as educators and school principals. First and foremost, at the federal level, we need to be present, and I need to speak up.
First video was 2 years ago.
Speak up.
Shit.
We're asking principals to do something that
don't ask me when mine was. That's way too long ago.
I'm not asking principals.
Yeah, well, you've been in this game a long time, brother. I'll
as
tell
a
you
Secretary of
that.
Education.
Yeah,
I spent more time in the last 3 months.
I'm about to cry.
Supporting
That's how bad it's been.
Visiting schools, speaking to family members of those who were gunned down, because it's important, and I have a platform, and I'm going to use it to say I have to do more. You heard about the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, right?
Oh my God.
$2 billion. $2 billion to increase mental health supports, a total of 14,000 social workers, school psychologists, school counselors, okay? Another $1 billion for Stronger Connections, which allows schools to have dollars to do everything from creating, putting cameras up to make sure that your wife feels safer when she can see who's coming up and they can show their license, to maybe getting a bunch of those gun locks and having an event at the school. The schools decide. I said before, it's not a one-size-fits-all. You know better what your school needs than I do as Secretary of Education. So there are more dollars in the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act to provide mental health support and strengthen school safety plans than ever before. I've been in education 25 years. But that's short term. Long term, we're working with Health and Human Services at the president's direction
No,
was
you're
very
not.
clear with me at a cabinet meeting. Me and Javier Becerra fixed the Medicaid reimbursement process so that children with behavioral health and mental health, those districts could get reimbursed if they're Medicaid students. That's long-term money for social workers, for school counselors. So there's money there that we want to provide. And if you look at our budget proposals, look at the president's budget proposals. You know, people say your budget is a reflection of your values. There's more requests there for mental health supports, because if we go back to the schools that we had in 2019, we're failing.
Just to stop that for a sec. Everybody needs a laugh. And this, you guys will have to tell me how funny this is, because God knows how many people saw it when I did it. Let's share this. What's up, guys? It's Coop C&T Designs. I am here because we're going to go through some breaking news today in the gun world. I'm going to be breaking news with my friend Richard, my co-anchor, my co-host, the man. All right, so there's been a bunch of stories break around the gun world today. Things that are, I mean, John Crump broke a couple stories. I've got to pick on him about some of the stories because some of the stuff was wrong today. All right, so the first news story is a story about Big Daddy Unlimited. See, I'm tripping over my words again. All right, so Big Daddy Unlimited is going to go under a name change. They're going now to Big Mommy Unlimited. They will be starting an OnlyFans page. Wait for announcements. The second news story also having to do with Big Daddy Unlimited. John Crump, through a series of interviews, admitted he actually owns Big Daddy Unlimited, and he is responsible for the name change and said OnlyFans page. We tried to reach Flying Rich for comment. Richard's the one who called him, since they both share the name Rich, and Rich was unavailable for comment. The other story we're breaking right here. This is worldwide news.
Wow, you've gotten up in the world. You got me now.
John Crump, this is where I have a problem with it. John Crump actually said that the wide open triggers were actually made in Bosnia. Well, they're not. They were actually being made in Ukraine. Knowing this, the ATF subcontracted out with Putin to go in and go ahead and get all those wide open triggers before any of those crazy Americans could get.
I knew it.
There will be updates on that story coming shortly. The last story is we tried to comment or contact the ATF for any kind of comments on contracting with Putin and all that. And all we got was an unnamed source that said that, well, to be an ATF agent, you have to have an unhealthy sexual attraction to dogs. And this is what accounts for a lot of dogs being killed during raids. He apologized to all the dogs that had been killed in the heat of passion, and they are trying to do better at this point and maybe get some people interested in cats.
I found my first
news
video.
I have today, guys. I'll be back with some more stories on. I had to.
I found my first video, the first episode of Hit or Miss, October 27th, 2015. 9 freaking years ago.
Damn.
That's how long that's why I stopped doing Hit or Miss, because that's how long I was doing Hit or Miss. Those were most of my videos. I was doing some other live stuff before they banned all that. And then, I was doing produced videos, and I'm not good at produced videos.
So. And neither am I. That's why I run most of my shit live right now, because I'm just too lazy to go in and edit everything.
Yeah.
Failing our kids. Mental health has to undergird everything that we do. We need to make sure that our local budgets, we're pushing for that as well. We're working very closely with states. We have technical assistance centers here at the Department of Education, because money's only half the issue, right? We need to provide technical assistance support, listen to our states, what they need, and we need to be responsible.
How much money do we spend on these schools that are
we recognize mental health
failing
is something that we need to capitalize on. And if you look at our agenda at the Department of Education, mental health is right up there with improving reading scores and providing pathways to college.
The more money we throw at school educators and administrators like these assholes, the worse the schools get. Sooner or later, you have to quit feeding the cancer. You got to cut that shit off, fucking let it die, and actually go to what works. Kids were more educated in schools when they had a fucking board and a piece of chalk to learn from.
All right, I can keep going, but I know we have some other questions. it's really important that we model what we expect to see at every level.
Yeah.
Question number 2 comes from Melissa Schindel, principal of Glenwood Middle School
Yeah, that
in
is
Maryland.
true. One card. I think there's been a couple
2023
caught
Advocacy Champion of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like how they give each other these fucking titles.
And thank you so much for offering this space for us to
Yeah.
talk. And so what
lot
you
of
said
that
really
money goes
resonates
to
with
them
me because
education
every time someone comes to
unions.
the door, it is always on our minds who's coming through our
I'll be
doors.
back.
And so my question's a little bit different than George's question, but we know that many of the guns causing harm in our communities are coming from the home, whether that's targeted violence, whether that's self-injurious behavior, whether it's accidental. And so how can we, as principals and school leaders and districts, partner with our communities and help work with parents to help them understand different ways that they can safely store their guns, store their firearms rather, and maybe some of the different types of ways to safely store their firearms?
Thank you for the question. It's a fantastic question. I believe the best starting point, ma'am, would be for principals to provide, I believe it was just mentioned in some of the opening comments, the Department of Education's, their new communication template, which would start the conversation. I believe that the principals and school leaders can use that to engage with the parents and families about the importance of safe firearm storage and responsible gun ownership. Second, I believe it will be active today. I would recommend DOJ has a safe firearm storage brochure as well. That's close to 13 to 14 pages.
All right, I'm going to jump out.
Standing
All right,
best
man.
practices
I'll see you later.
and procedures to safely
Be cool,
storing
man.
firearms in
Yep.
the home. That would be the first part of your question as to what the community should know. I think that this is one of the things as well as principals. You guys are uniquely
Night Strike's
positioned
pain
to
level
have
is nowhere near as good as mine.
platform to
apparently.
talk to your parents to impart the safely storing
This
firearms.
bullshit meter pegs out,
crucial
and he's like, I'm
for
done.
preventing risks of unintentional death, injury, and the loss of firearms in the community. And I don't think that nearly almost all firearm accidents in the home, I believe, are preventable if people are responsible gun owners and simply secure their firearm away.
Since he said
We were
that,
talking
I'm
about
gonna
it
put
a
something
little
up
bit
back.
earlier today. Just several days ago,
Up in a
a
while.
3-year-old child
Well, I
in
might
this
have to
country
plan.
found an unsecured firearm and
Pull it
shot
off my
and killed a 2-year-old sibling.
phone because I still got
And
that.
we can go on and on with those stories. And I do feel very strongly that a lot of that is preventable. I think that DOJ has done a fantastic job coming up with a safe storage guide, as well as the Department of Education getting behind that effort and with a template that's going out for you as well. I do have a couple of things that I brought with me to show today to show you just really how easy it kind of can be. If you have to have access to your firearm, a loaded firearm in your house, there are some options to it. So I brought 3 things here. I brought a cable lock, which quickly affixes to a firearm, usually through the barrel or through the action of the weapon. And I also brought a trigger lock as well. This kind of affixes and prevents the functioning of the trigger. And really, these 2 items are good, especially if there are young children in the house, because it does prevent and deter unauthorized use of the weapon. However, they're not as successful in deterring theft. Whereas if you have a gun safe or a lockbox, which is an example here, and actually all of this stuff has been issued.
Dude, the way crackheads are these days, I could
so
put my shit in a fucking
this
4,000
is probably one
safe
of your
and they will
better
walk off
options.
with it.
So, and to really further describe this, I don't want to put anyone to sleep here, but the actual terminology for it, the safety device that when installed on a firearm is designed to prevent the firearm from being operated without first deactivating the device. Second, which that's the cable lock. The second item would be considering a device that's incorporated into the design of the firearm that is designed to prevent the operation of the firearm by anyone not having access to the device. And then a gun safe or gun case or lockbox or other device that is designed to be or can be used to store a firearm. So the one thing I will add, and we see it very often, through my position as an ATF agent, I've come into contact with multiple people possessing firearms, obviously, and I've seen everything from people using zip ties, string, rope, bolt flags. That is not secure and safe storage. Some people may think it is. And again, I think as educators, you all realize that really it comes down to education. I think that letting people know what is and is not safe storage.
They've done changed the
not
damn
everyone has dealt with firearms throughout the professional life. And so I think that this initiative is fantastic. I think that your template from the Department of Education that starts a conversation, followed up by the Department of Justice, safe storage firearms brochure is fantastic.
Thank you for that. You want to jump into this?
Yeah, if I can just jump in very quickly. I just think that expert advice is so helpful to help understand the different types of safe storage options that are available. That if you have a toddler you're trying to prevent from getting a gun, you might want to use a different type of safe storage than if you have a 17-year-old who's a little more advanced and might be able to break through this cable lock. You might need a different
This is going to
tool.
take me a minute to
And
now
that's
try
something
to
you shouldn't
find
have
this
to
shit
know
again.
as principals, which is why I'm so grateful to the Department of Justice for putting out that information. And then the last thing, just really quickly, I want to say is I want everyone to know that the president is calling on Congress to enact legislation requiring all gun owners to safely store their firearms. In fact, one piece of legislation that would do exactly that is named after Ethan Song, whose mother is in this room today. But we don't have to wait for Congress to act in order to take action in our homes and in our schools, and that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. We all have to do more. The president is pushing for more too. And I appreciate, every good principal appreciates when teachers bring in realia, right? Right? So thank you for bringing those in. That little orange one, how much does that cost about?
Approximately $10.
$10, right? Think about it. How many parents wish they had that? So the goal here today is bring awareness, right? The goal here is to bring awareness. This is kind of uncharted territory with principals that we have to deal with the trauma after. I would rather spend a little bit of time on prevention. All right, question number 3, Aaron Huff, NASSP president, secondary school principal president, principal Benjamin Boss High School in Indiana. Nice to see you, Aaron.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for having us today, and thank you for the administration's persistence on this critical topic. Organizations like NASSP, NAESP, the American Federation of School Administrators, as well as all the other organizations who are represented here today, aim to develop and support school administrators addressing this issue weekly and sometimes daily. NASSP has focused its efforts on interagency collaboration, as well as emergency response to schools and communities who are impacted. So my question is, how can school leaders collaborate with diverse community partners, including those with varying perspectives on responsible gun ownership, along with local law enforcement and justice offices, to enhance community intervention strategies while prioritizing safe and welcoming schools?
Yeah, right. There's a balance, right? Let me start with that one, and just feel free to jump in. So, Aaron, thank you for being here. I see Earl here, too, in the Federation. Your presence here means a lot. It's one thing if we were saying this, you being here, you recognizing that, look, there's no perfect answer or one-size-fits-all, but we're in this together, man. And I think your question about how do we bring diverse perspectives.
They have changed their sight.
Talking about kids' lives. If that can't bring people together with different perspectives, notice we're not talking about don't have them. You said something to me in the back. I don't know if you said in your remarks. How many guns are there in this country?
Estimated in excess of 400 million.
400 million. That's
At
more than the
least
population.
400 million.
So what we're saying is just keep them
With
safe.
printers and home-built guns.
This is why I think principals are critical, right? Look, people know their school teacher. They know their school principal. They love their schools. I'm not saying that principals need to lead this themselves. I'm saying you're the trusted people in the community. You talk about diverse stakeholders. This is not a red or blue issue. This is a kid issue, right? When I was a school principal, we had a lot of different perspectives in there. But at the end of the day, I knew that I could bring parents together, and they trusted that I was looking out for their kid. So maybe school principal.
Okay. Oh, shit.
Very strongly that a lot of that is preventable. I think that DOJ has done a fantastic job coming up with a safe storage guide, as well as the Department of Education getting behind that.
Let's look at something real fast. This site, they've changed the way you can view the data on their site. A lot. It's not as, you can't boil the data down like you did before. But still, let me show this tab. So I did a search for unintentional firearm death, and this was from 0 to 17. Used to, you could do it a lot more customizable. But 0 to 17, unintentional firearms death, 525. You can't boil it down like you could before. But 525 unintentional firearms deaths. If we're doing unintentional motor vehicle deaths, 10,546. unintentional suicides and suffocations, unintentional drowning. If oh, these motherfuckers. Thank you, CDC, for always being a bunch of cocksuckers. Yeah, they've changed the way you view this, but still, you see this. 525, and this is unintentional firearms deaths. Now, why it's 5 whatever over here, you can't change that parameter to see what it's showing. So I'm going to have to explore their site again and see whether I can boil this data down, because they have definitely changed it. I've showed it on here before and done unintentional firearms deaths, and they've changed their numbers, and the way their reporting system is quite a bit. But it's not even close, man. It's nowhere near close. So when these assholes are running their smokers about all this, they are absolutely lying to you. Period.
That effort, and with the template that's going out to you as well. I do have a couple of things that I brought with me to show today to show you just really how easy it kind of can be. If you have to have access to your firearm, a loaded firearm in your house.
No, no. They ain't going to bring up having armed security or teachers being armed. They said one little blip about it,
which quickly affixes to.
But they didn't mention armed teachers. They said teachers shouldn't be the one responsible or whatever.
I also brought a trigger lock as well. This kind of affixes and prevents the functioning of the trigger. And really, these two items are good, especially if they're young children in the house.
We're going to finish this out, and I got to jump off.
And deter.
But we are going to finish this out. Wife, kiddos are home, and I got to start.
They're not as successful in deterring
some stuff here in a minute.
Whereas if you have a gun safe or a lockbox, which is an example here, and actually all of this stuff has been issued to me by ATF.
Why do you have to come in there like
so this is probably one of your better options. So, and to really further describe this, I don't want to put him in sleep here, but the actual terminology for it, the safety device that when installed on a firearm is designed to prevent the firearm from being operated without first deactivating the device. Second, which that's the cable lock. The second item would be considering a device that's incorporated into the design of the firearm. It's designed to prevent the operation of the firearm by anyone not having access to the device. And then a gun safe, or gun case, or lockbox, or other device that is designed to be, or can be used to store a firearm. So the one thing I will add,
I flash from every once in a while. I just didn't want to pull it all the way out the holster and be him.
No, I'm not that stupid.
Contact with
I never said you. Well, for marrying me, you might be
everything from people using zip ties, string, rope, bolt
But if
flags.
you do, just let me know.
That is not secure and safe.
U-Haul has a hotline.
Some people may think it is, and again, I think as educators, you all realize that
I take it well
really it comes
sleep.
down to education. I think that letting people know what is and is not safe storage.
He walked all the way to the
Because not
stairs.
everyone is, has dealt with firearms throughout their professional life, and so I think that.
Yeah, Trey, that work actually went
I think that your
decently
template
good
with the
tonight
Department
for
of Education,
a few
starts
hours.
a conversation,
And then
followed
it
by the
was
Department of Justice,
definitely
safe
time to
storage
bail.
firearms brochure is fantastic.
Thank you for that. You want to jump in with us?
Yeah, if I can just jump in very quickly. I just think that expert advice is so helpful to help understand the different types of safe storage options that are available. That if you have a toddler, you're trying to prevent from getting a gun, you might want to use a different type of safe storage than if you have a 17-year-old who's a little more advanced and might be able to
Can
break
you
through
teach
the
your
law.
17-year-old to drive? You can
Cool.
teach them how to safely
And that's
be
something
around
you shouldn't
fire.
have to know as
Can you
principals.
teach your toddler not to touch a hot stove? You can teach them not to touch a gun.
And then the last thing, just really
Chandler, what's up, my brother?
I
And
want everyone to know that the president is calling on Congress to enact legislation requiring all gun owners to safely store their firearms.
see, that's the issue. I can see it.
In fact, one piece of legislation that would do exactly that is named after Ethan Song. His mother is in this room today.
And yeah, we could look at Ethan's law, and
But
it's a
we
complete
don't have to
bullshit bill.
wait for Congress to act in order to take action in our homes and in our schools. And that's
Early
what-
on in my channel, I have a video on Ethan's law.
Thank you.
and the bills that
We all have to do more. The president is pushing for more too. And I appreciate, every good principal appreciates.
Have
when
you
teachers
heard
bring
any
in
of them say a
Realia,
single
right?
word
Right. So thank you for bringing
about
those in.
educating
That little
kids with
orange one,
firearms?
How much does that cost?
Firearm safety,
Approximately $10.
hunter safety
$10.
courses.
Right? Think about it. How many parents wish they had that? So the goal here today is bring awareness, right? The goal here is to bring awareness This is kind of uncharted territory with principles that we're
going to do
we have
another
to deal with
flash
the
or two at
trauma
the gun
after.
violence
I would rather
archive
spend a little bit of
right
time
after
on
this,
prevention.
and then I got to go.
All right, question number 3, Aaron Huff, NASSP president, secondary
It'd
school
make
principal president,
make my wife
principal Benjamin Boss High School in Indiana. Nice to see you, Aaron.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for having us today, and thank you for the administration's persistence on this critical topic. Organizations like NASSP, NAESP, and the American Federation of School Administrators, as well as all the other organizations who are represented here today, aim to develop and support school administrators addressing this issue weekly and sometimes daily. NASSP has focused its efforts on interagency collaboration, as well as emergency response to schools and communities who are impacted. So my question is, how can school leaders collaborate with diverse community partners, including those with varying perspectives on responsible gun ownership, along with local law enforcement and justice offices, to enhance community intervention strategies while prioritizing safe and welcoming schools?
We'll listen to their answer,
Right.
then I'll give
There's
you
a
mine.
balance, right? Let me start with that one, and just feel free to jump in. So, Aaron, thank you for being here. I see Earl here, too, in the Federation. Your presence here means a lot. It's one thing if we were saying this, you being here, you recognizing that, look, there's no perfect answer or one-size-fits-all, but we're in this together, man. And I think your question about how do we bring diverse perspectives together, we're talking about kids' lives. If that can't bring people together with different perspectives, notice we're not talking about don't have them. You said something to me in the back. I don't know if you said in your remarks. How many guns are there in this country?
Estimated in excess of 400 million.
400 million. That's more than the population of our country. So what we're saying is just keep them safe. So this is why I think principals are critical, right? Look, people know their school teacher. They know their school principal. They love their schools. I'm not saying that principals need to lead this themselves. I'm saying you're the
chamber, yes,
people in the community.
absolute.
Talk about diverse stakeholders. This is not a red or blue issue. This is a kid issue, right? When I was a school principal, we had a lot of different perspectives in there. But at the end of the day, I knew that I could bring parents together, and they trusted that I was looking out for their kid. So maybe school principals could partner with the PTA president, with the police chief, you know, in different communities, church elders, right? You know, the pastors in some communities, bring them together on a shared message.
Spot on again,
this is not about judging. Judgment-free conversations about how to keep kids safe. You know, we've, in this country, normalized, and rightfully so, the accessibility of Narcan. We should be doing the same thing with this stuff. How many kids? 3,100? I said the number, I think it's suicide. We should be normalizing, and how better to do that than for principals to lead that charge, to say, I'm going to bring together parents, I'm going to bring together community, church members, you know, law enforcement, and create a culture where this is normal. You know how we talked a lot in the last several years about destigmatizing mental health? Let's destigmatize this conversation. You know, and again, we have strategies. And thank you, Jeff, for mentioning the template. This morning, I sent to principals across the country a template or a Dear Colleague letter, and it has attached to it a template. Change it up, make it your own, and start that conversation. Check in with the
it's going to feel like 1,000 years
law enforcement to say, hey, listen, I want to
really
do something, whether it's in a building or in a community center. Let's work together on this. I'll get the parents there. It has to be judgment free, so we don't make people feel uncomfortable going.
Yeah, Chamber. I ain't plan on being on too much longer, but yeah, brother, we'll catch you after a while, man.
If we were to poll people in the room, the smartest person in the room is always the room itself, right? You have great ideas. Maybe some of the principals in your network have done things like this already. So for me, it's about opening that door to the conversation. You don't have to do all the work, but because you're a trusted leader, bringing together, and I appreciate the word.
Open up the door to the conversation. As soon as you mention firearms education, these people lose their fucking minds.
And I think if we keep kids at the center, we're going to be more successful. Thanks for that question. Anyone else want to answer on that? All right, question number 4. Naya McCants, principal of Early College School at Delaware State University. Welcome.
Hello and good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I am the proud principal of Early College School at Delaware State University, located in Dover, Delaware. And I'm also a member of the National Association of Secondary School Principals, serving and representing my proud state of Delaware. As Michelle Kefford had stated, and as the part of the Principal Recovery Network, We share powerful stories, recommendations, and valuable lessons learned lived through these tragedies that we're all talking about today. One of the goals is to harness lessons learned from the tragedies and turn towards prevention before they happen. So we appreciate the White House and with the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, the initiatives that we're currently pursuing. So my question is twofold. What role do you see for the leaders who have already experienced a school shooting? And also, how can we harness the lessons learned from tragedy and turn towards prevention?
Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And I know especially for you and other principals, can you hear me now? Okay, great. I know for you and so many other principals in this room who have experienced gun violence in your school setting, it can be tough to come into this conversation and to
I
bring
typed the
yourself
chat
back to
on
that
Rumble because
moment.
they never chat over
And
there.
so I just really
Most
am
of them are probably
grateful
following
that
here
you,
and there.
the
So
president would say, you are turning your pain into purpose in order to prevent others from having to experience that. We here in the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, I want this to be a two-way conversation in the months ahead regarding what we can do to better support you in your efforts to reduce gun violence and respond to gun violence. The fact that you already, as an association, have pulled together your lessons
is it just
learned
me, or is the
vital
end of all
in the work
her
we're doing
words
as the White
just
House Office of Gun Violence
annoying as a
Prevention?
fucking harpy screaming?
In fact, one of the key responsibilities that President Biden and Vice President Harris tasked my office with is thinking about how we better
The
coordinate
White House
federal
created the
support for
Office of Gun
communities
Violence
impacted by gun
Prevention along
violence
with the
when it
Safer
happens.
Communities Act.
We know that the FBI, ATF will often go to the scene after a mass shooting happens. We also have the Department of Education showing up and being supportive. The United States Department of Agriculture showing up and being supportive. The VA. We are all here to help and identify resources that can be available through the federal government. One of my deputies, Greg Jackson, deployed to Lewiston, Maine after the shooting in Maine just a few months ago. But we have a lot to learn, and we're in the early stages of figuring out how we as a federal government better support communities after gun violence. As I said, we just started last fall. So we want to listen and hear from you regarding what you think works in the community. When you talk about how do we move from response to prevention, what that makes me think of is one father who lost his daughter in Parkland has told me, I am so sad that I started in this fight after I lost my child. And
if I
think about that all the time. As someone who has not personally lost a loved one to gun violence, but has grown to know so many amazing people in this movement, the message that this father has is that we just can't wait. We can't wait until this issue arrives on our doorstep or at our front entrance. And so that is why the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention is taking a comprehensive approach to reduce gun violence. Again, safe storage is a tool. It is one tool in the toolkit for gun violence prevention. We also have funding through the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act for mental health supports in our schools. We have
they have a word about
resources for you to think about how you build a safe school.
Nothing about firearms.
In terms of the physical infrastructure.
Nothing about firearms
we are cutting down. We're cutting back trafficking of firearms. We're making sure that we're keeping guns out of hands where they shouldn't be. A range of strategies that we're taking and coordinating through the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention to drive forward this agenda by the president and the vice president. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. It's going to come from Kevin Lean from. He's also a member of the Principal Recovery Group.
Please don't.
He's from Harrisburg High School in South Dakota. There you are. Welcome, Kevin.
I wake up dead. Most of the time after a school shooting, a little groggy in the pre-dawn, and I'm transported back to my office in 2015. And a 15-year-old with faraway eyes points a gun at my head.
Undoubtedly One car.
What happened at that time was the bullet went through my arm and hit me in the chest and knocked me to the floor, and I was saved by my assistant principal who's here today, Mr. Ryan Rollinger. But in the dream,
yep, Sam.
His mark is true.
If John Wick walked in
and I
here,
wake up dead.
do I have a pencil on my desk?
Just like my colleague from Perry, Mr. Marburger, in that instant, taken away, a brother, a husband, a father, a teacher, a coach, and a friend. All because we were just doing our job.
With that. Oh, I do have.
For a long time, I've struggled.
Pencil.
I live in this country. I'm realistic. I understand that maybe there's got to be a middle ground if we want to make progress.
Well, I'd choose the pencil.
But I'm having a hard time finding a country like this that allows the manufacture of weapons that are simply for maiming and killing other human beings. And they do that in an instant, and then they maim and kill other human beings mentally forever. Something has to change. My urge to the committee, I really appreciate the proposals that you've offered today. I hope there's an intentionality of maybe in local communities, finding those experts and those leaders, and within that template, making sure those trusted people can zealously educate on gun safety.
He's got the zealot.
Educate on accountability and responsibility, and take away, like that 15-year-old with the faraway eyes, opportunity meeting motive and potential.
Same fucking time.
I got to tell you, we have to just get done with this personal and national nightmare. I know I'm getting old and I just need some sleep. And so do you.
Shut up and go to bed.
So I urge the committee, go forward with zealousness. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, who was the last question last week where they?
I always am amazed.
And shit.
Those who've
Corn
experienced
Pop, what's up, my brother?
Courage and strength that they have to continue to fight.
Dude, I don't want to
We
imagine
owe you
smell in
action.
that room.
We owe you action. Any reflections from the panel on?
Smells like sadness and trannies.
No, I'll just close by saying thank you for lending all of your time and your voice. And this is the start of a conversation.
Notice not one educator got up there and mentioned
that I know we're going to be having
safety
all
training,
across the country.
education.
And, privileged to be here today.
We can teach kids how to drive cars safely at 80
I would just
miles
like to
an hour,
say
a
that,
foot away from another car. We
you
can
had
teach
mentioned it
kids
earlier
to
today. There are estimated over 400 million firearms in this country. Arguably, that's more firearms than we have citizens. It's one of those things.
One
whether
car,
pro-gun or
yes.
anti-gun.
More than
At the
likely.
end of the
They
day,
don't live in a gated
we have
community.
to
They damn
sponsor
straight living in the
responsible
city
gun
next to
ownership.
the people.
We have
that they're
to sponsor.
fucking
We have to
calling
push
dogs.
safe gun storage. I think it's so critical to firearm safety. It's safe firearm storage is a pillar of responsible gun ownership. And again, no matter what side of the coin you fall on, I think that responsible gun ownership and safe storage is our best answer.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
And that was the ATF agent. So.
And I think, who better than principals to bring people together around protecting children, right? And you're not alone in this, man.
In
We're with
our
you.
entire education.
I think whether it was looking in the face of parents after the Sandy Hook tragedy, which took place 35 minutes away from the school where I was serving as principal, and telling those parents, I'm going to do everything I can. Or fast forward and visiting and speaking to teachers in Uvalde 4 or 5 days after,
Corn Pop,
and them looking me in the eyes with tears saying, please do more. Or experiencing the walk through Marjorie Stoneman Douglas School with parents, with spouses of deceased, who are saying, I'm willing to walk through the school with you because I hope it can influence you so you can continue to do more.
This is the place where the police completely
Or having a
abandoned our
conversation
children.
with the superintendent of Perry,
Stood
Iowa,
around in the parking lot for an hour jacking
on
off
his
because
first
the
day
guy got
back,
so busy he killed his fucking
from
self.
the holiday break, had to
Got so
lead
bored.
at a time that there's no playbook, whether it's school principal, teacher, superintendent, there's no playbook. But I'm going to say this to principals.
Dude, we've had a playbook forever.
We didn't sign up for
Stop
this.
the shooter.
But we didn't sign up for a pandemic. And you led with courage, with student-centeredness.
Mac.
And you did.
And this is still going.
Let our school reopen during a
pandemic. It's not much longer, and then I'm going to do one or two things.
We didn't go to school for that either.
Yeah,
you led with grace.
I got called away
passion.
for roasted chicken.
Brought a
and
community
salad,
together that was divided at the time, and you kept the students.
Yeah, I'm fixing to go fry up some deer backs.
But we have another problem in this country right now.
Yeah.
We didn't sign up for it, but we chose to be leaders. We chose to be leaders, and I ask you again as your secretary. Lead.
Dude, nobody would have
center
a
of the
brain in
conversation.
that room.
Lead by bringing people together. Lead
There
by
are no
making
brains
sure
in that room.
we recognize
That's why
there's
I
no
said
one
you can't
simple
even have
solution.
half of one. It's a fucking requirement. You have to be.
You're
trained.
not leading alone.
That's the living
We're
dead
in
right
this
there.
Together. And
Right
remember,
there.
at the end of the day, when it gets hard, we're protecting the lives.
Those are definitely zombies.
Thank you for being here today.
Let me shut that tab before I absolutely go completely insane. And for those of you who missed it earlier, we're gonna go to the Gun Violence Archive, and we're gonna look at some of the data that they use for school shootings real quick, and then I got to get out of here because, like I said, I got to go cook. Let me go back to the first page. When they talk about school shootings and all these school shootings, there's like one a day. It's so horrible. Now, I'm not making fun of school shootings, kids. Don't get me wrong. School shootings should never happen. They are evil, vile things. But what I'm telling you is, and what I'm fixing to show you is what they call school shootings are not school shootings. At all. All right, so here's the tab. So again, this is data, and we hit this earlier.
Is that guy's name Corn Pops Wonder Waffle?
Yes. Dude, do you not know Corn Pop?
I know he was a bad dude.
Well, Corn Pop is a bad dude.
Yeah.
But this is the data they're relying on to say that there are school shootings every day. And what's cool is you come up here, you go to victims killed, victims injured, suspects killed, suspects injured, and then suspects arrested. And what you will notice is almost all these columns are zero. Hell, in this case, even the suspect arrested is zero. Why? Because it was just a firearm in a school zone.
I know Corn Pop. I'm just teasing you, man.
Let's see. This is all zeros. So this is counted as a school shooting, but there were 0 victims, 0 injured, 0 suspects injured, and 0 suspects arrested. Sounds like a school shooting to me. Here's another complete zeroed out column. This is a 1. So in other words, someone just got caught on school grounds with a gun. This one actually has a suspect. I didn't see this one earlier. This one has a suspect injured, but not arrested. No victims killed, no victims injured. No suspects killed, but one dude got injured. So it sounds like an ND to me. This is a 1 victim killed, no victims injured, no suspects.
You know why he wasn't arrested? Because it was probably an ND from a truant officer.
There actually was one not too long back, and I can't remember when I showed it on the channel. But this fucking school resource officer, indeed on somebody, which was awful funny. I don't think the kid died, but yeah, it was a school shooting, but it was a negligent discharge by a police officer.
And they're counting those too.
Yes. Well, I guarantee you that's in this data. So again, and that's just page 1. We had to go to page 3 to actually find a shooting that happened on school grounds where someone was killed, and it ends up being a gang-related thing that had nothing necessarily to do with the school. That was this one. That was January 4th.
Whoa, Corn Pop, are these your dudes?
If we go to page 3, again, we're 0, 0s, 0s, suspect arrested, 0, 0, 0s. These are what they're calling school shootings. And the ones where they actually have people killed most of the time is gang violence. A lot of it is after school hours. It just happens to be in a school zone.
You know what you can call this website?
Complete other horseshit.
Besides that,
what?
This is the proverbial mountain out of a molehill, right here.
If that molehill was made out of complete horseshit, I'd agree with you.
Mm-hmm. It is, and you got the little one there.
It's freaking, and it's just column after column.
All right, Corn Pop's passing out. Good night, buddy.
Mostly gang violence. All right, Corn Pop, I'm fixing to get out of here too. Corn Pop, take him easy, brother. But yeah, it's this is what they're basing their school shooting data on. Oh, there's a school shooting almost every day. No, there's not. They count stuff for like that one I mentioned earlier. The kid drove a car to school, borrowed it from his parents, drove a car to school, didn't even know there was a gun in the car. And for some reason, whatever, they search his car because fucking some schools do that quite a bit. And they find a gun. And then they go, it's a felon with a gun. No, wait a second. It happened that one of his parents was a felon. That's who the gun belonged to. And it just happened to be in the car when he borrowed the car to go to school. This kid had no ill intent against anybody. He was trying to go to school. But I'll damn near guarantee you they are going to try to ruin his educational life because it was a gun in a school.
Well, he could argue in court that they violated his constitutional rights because they didn't have a warrant to search his car.
I'll have to look because I'm pretty sure that's been argued before. I'll have to look, and you know me and my nerdiness when it comes to the courts.
I know. No, there's the whole reasonable. They have to have a reasonable doubt. They have to have reasonable suspicion. But the problem is, he was just a kid going to school.
That's like one of my guys. It had to been about 2 years ago. High school. He comes to me for the college classes, and he got in trouble at school. He was wearing one of those shirts that's like 357 is faster than this, and then 45 and all this down his shirt. Lists all the calibers and speeds.
They have to have a reasonable suspicion to believe that your vehicle contains adequate evidence of a crime, and that exigent situation, situation because of mobility of the motor vehicle may cause the evidence to disappear if the search isn't executed immediately.
But
that's the law. But otherwise, they need a warrant.
So, but get this. So this kid, he's wearing one of those shirts that lists all the calibers and their speeds, and at the end it says all faster than 911 sweatshirt. Well, this school administrator had an issue with him wearing that. And Scott was, Jesus Christ, that kid was 6'2", 6'3", pushing 240, big cornbread kid. And he told me, he said, I gave him some attitude, man. He said, but I turned my sweatshirt inside out so it wouldn't be an issue. And he's just country kid, Well, if you've ever had
for it anyways.
Well, what happened was he had a piece of rope hanging out from the tailgate of his truck. And this administrator said, oh, that looks like a noose and that's a threat. So they searched Scott's truck. Now, Scott had blades in his truck. He had almost like a rolling pin in his truck. And they wanted to expel this kid. Scott told me about that shit. And I went, when's your hearing? He went, it's so-and-so. It's down here, what they call the brick. I went, okay, I'll be there. And he looked at me and went, I said, no, I'll be there. And I'm in there with these school administrators, and you got the big dude in there, and he's talking about all the stuff Scott had in his truck. And I went, hold on, wait a second, brother. I said, I have multiple knives all the time. It's like Scott. He hunts, he fishes, he does all kinds of stuff. So I have different knives for skinning. I've got different knives for cutting meat. I've got knives for this. I've got utility knives. Hell, I had one on me then. And I was like, there's nothing. Did he threaten anybody? No. He's a straight A student, right? Yes. Has he ever been a problem before? No. Why are we here? And I asked that dude that. And I caught quite some looks from some school administrators at that point. And that one asked me, said, "Why are you here?" I said, "Because he's one of mine. He's my student." I thought that kid's mom was going to break into tears. He's one of mine. And that dude said, "Well, what if he got in a fight and then he got to his truck and he had a knife?" And I told that dude in the fucking meeting, I said, "Do you see the size of that boy? Do you honestly think he needs a knife to harm somebody?" That hasn't made me real popular with some people that run some of the high schools down here.
Gee, I wonder why, Coop. I wonder why.
Yeah, because that's pretty much exactly how I said it too. Because, and his mom asked me later, and I told her, I said, "Because he's one of mine, and you don't fuck with one of mine. Not over something stupid. If the boy did something, I'd be the first one to say, 'Hey, dude, you got to ride that shit out.'"
Did you also mention they violated his constitutional rights by searching without a warrant?
I didn't even go that far, because what they did was they said that rope hanging out of the back of his truck was a noose, and then they tried to push this whole hate shit at him, and I think I told that one at meeting, I said, "Man, I got shit hanging all out of the tailgate of my truck. I've had rope hanging out from the tailgate of my truck."
If I was him, I would have gotten a lawyer and sued the shit out of them.
Dude, if he wasn't piss poor fucking poor, he would have, and he should have. But that was the state.
He wouldn't have been if he had just gone and gotten a lawyer and sued them. I can tell you that.
If you had lawyers halfway worse a fucking pimple on my ass a lot of times, then yeah, they would have done it pro bono. They'd been like, "Fuck it, we finna screw somebody up." And
that shit's messed up.
It's dude, and it's way more messed up than what I can even put it as right now. And it was, I talked that kid. They ended up not expelling him, but he had to finish his the rest of his year online, and then going to the break to do his tests. And I told Scott then, I said, "Look, man, finish out your shit. Don't worry about these stupid bastards, because they aren't worth a fuck." And that's exactly what I told him. He's a 17-year-old kid, and that's exactly what I told him. They are not worth a fuck. And they're not. But those were school administrators, like the people sitting in that meeting right there. So there are very few of them I have any respect for. And the dude who pushed his case to get to that level, because they wanted to expel him, ruin his academic career. Any chance, which I don't know whether Scott will go to college, not for freaking, some 4-year degree. He'll go for a trade school or something like that. But they wanted to crucify this kid, basically, just because he had an issue with an administrator. Now, I had plenty of those when I was in school. There were plenty of times where I had zero respect for one of these administrators. But why would you have respect for someone that would have such an issue with the shirt he was wearing, just with calibers on it and all faster than calling 911, and then push the issue that far? It was mind-boggling. And, hell, I went to bat for some of my students over at Columbus Tech on just stupid shit. Because they weren't threats to any. If Scott wanted to beat someone to death, that boy could do it with his bare hands and just stomp their fucking head through the floor. He doesn't need a weapon.
Right.
And Scott could handle himself. He wasn't some pushover dude, but he was just real laid back and kind of a quiet dude. And it was, hell, his mom just couldn't understand it when I walked in there at first. And then she got the point. Yeah, Scott's no threat to anybody, man. You don't fuck with mine. Not over stupid shit. Now, if he just absolutely beat the brake shoes off someone for no reason, I'd have been like, "Look, Scott, you just got to ride that shit out, man. You did what you did." But for something that fucking stupid, it just that's education these days. So that's going to be one of my final acts tonight. Go look at Gun Violence Archive. I'll have to go back and if I don't tag them in this, I'll tag them in something else. And you can go look at all the shit they call school shootings where no one was hurt, no one was injured. It was just some BS situation. Or you can go look at all the other ones that are a gang issue. And they push this shit, and then they go, "Oh, we got to ban assault weapons." And we already know there's less than 100 and something people killed with like AR-15s every year in a country of over 400 million people.
Yep. Sadly,
that's statistically so low. They have a way better chance of getting run over by a zebra on Main Street on a Wednesday night. That's
some zebra.
This is.
That is some zebra, you know?
Hey, man, you can't trust zebras, man. Them stripy bastards, you can't trust them.
Right. You know, they're just shady.
They are shady. They always hang out in groups. You can't ever pick one out from the other one. They're shady. You can't trust zebras.
It's true.
Don't ever trust anything when you can't identify it as an individual. Zebras are that way.
It's true.
That's why a lot of gangs will all wear the same clothes. So when they call out a bolo on somebody and be like, "He's wearing blue jeans and a white shirt," the whole gang's wearing blue jeans and white shirts.
That was Paco. That wasn't Manuel.
Yeah, I don't know. I never looked up his name.
Yeah. See, they don't know who it was.
All right, guys. Well, I'm getting out of here, man. I gotta go cook. I'll probably hang out in some chats and stuff in a little while. I know Johnny Snow's going live. He should be live already, I think. And then we got, you guys already know, there's a bunch of cool ass people going live tonight. Yeah. So anyway, I am out, perps. As always, you guys be cool.
I won't be live until tomorrow on Rumble.
I'm going to show off the wife's gun. Keep that thing on you at all times. And I was going to ask, so you're going live tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night at like 7:15.
So tell them where they can find you real fast, just in case anybody hadn't seen me post your page.
I'm Night Strike. You can find me on YouTube as Night Strike or Night Strike 1. You can find me on Rumble as Night Strike. You know, you can find me on guntube.org because that's the platform I run. You can find me, you know, Facebook, Twitter, as Night Strike. So there you go.
It's Sabar John Wick. Did Sabar? I was fixing to say, did Sabar come in? I just didn't see him.
No. See, you got to say it right. It's Sabar Wanwick.
Wanwick. Yeah.
Wanwick.
Fire me. Pronunciation, redneck, not my strong suit.
My alternative name is Night Strike Juan.
Your alternative name is China Strike.
It's also China Strike. But I also go by Night Strike Juan.
And you guys will have to follow Night to figure out why everybody calls him China Strike. That's
yeah.
Hang out for a little while, you'll find out. And Night Strike, my wife still loves your wood.
I know she does. She's welcome to fondle it anytime.
And we make it up there to South Crack-a-Lack, and we gonna do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, brother, I'm out. You perks be cool. I'm done. I gotta go cook and play fat kid games.
Yeah, he does.
Later, guys.